sorry, but who decided that they were gonna give us this badass theme song for Cassie's introduction? Excusez-moi? Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, sneak peek number 2 is here for the February update. We're getting a brand new character, and I got a couple questions. But the first one I gotta ask is, how do you guys feel about this new music? Because it seems like they're trying to change things up on us, and I really dig this new music. Brand new character, her third Wasp. I personally didn't think they were gonna add her as a new character, even though she is in the movie. And the reason for that is we already have 2 different Wasps, and they play very similar to each other. So I'm not too sure how they're gonna differentiate her to make her stand out. And honestly, not just her. If all 3 of these Wasps are going to be getting brand new uniforms, I don't expect them to play the same. I expect them to feel like their own individual characters. And here's the thing, that's a tall task because their entire power set is very similar. They shrink and they have stingers. So I'm not really too sure how they can differentiate these characters from each other. Anyways, before we continue any further, this is what they had to say on the forums. A young superhero who has followed in her father's footsteps has arrived in Marvel Future Fight. The daughter of the tiniest hero is here. Check out the abilities of this superhero who will join Marvel Future Fight in her suit inspired by Marvel Studios' Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Thank you. So we have at least one more sneak peek to come. There's a couple things that I got to clear up from yesterday. First and foremost, we got to talk about the cast for this movie. Because I told you guys that I'm expecting something for Nick Fury, and some of you guys are saying Nick Fury's not in the movie. Unless Google is wrong, Nick Fury is in the movie, maybe as a cameo, I don't know, but he is listed here as a part of the movie. So hopefully he gets an Awaken skill. However, I was not expecting them to add Cassandra, so Nick Fury might just be dead in the wind. Also, I'm kind of curious. Do you guys think we're going to get a third Blast Wasp, or do you think they're going to break the mold and make her a Speed Wasp? I definitely don't see her as a combat character for sure. So let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section. Another thing that I mixed up yesterday, according to you guys, is the fact that the uniform that was hinted with Scott Lang in sneak peek number 1 is actually a uniform for Hope, aka Nadia, and not a uniform for Janet, which took me by surprise. Now, in case you didn't see sneak peek number 1, this is what they showed us. Tier 4 Ant-Man, we're not going to talk about that today, and then we got a new uniform for the Wasp. Now, looking at this with the signature yellow, my default go-to was Janet, but some of you guys are telling me that no, this uniform is actually for Nadia Van Dyne, aka Hope Van Dyne. However, the reason why I defaulted to Janet is because this is her original suit, right? And it looks very similar to what they showed us in the trailer. So I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at this, and although they don't look exactly the same, the yellow patterns got me thinking it absolutely has to be Janet. But regardless of who it is, whether the uniform belongs to Janet or to Hope, it's going to be very interesting to see how they make these 3 characters different from each other. I know the big one that we're waiting on is my man right here, Jonathan, aka Kang the Motherfucking Conqueror. And like I told you guys in yesterday's video, man, I hope they bring Kang in as a giant boss for us to take down and unlock through clearing content, because the game is kind of dry right now, and I definitely would not be down with them selling him for crystals. And I think for him, he needs to at least be a tier 3 native. So it's either giant boss raid or World Boss Legend, and at this point I think a lot of people are feeling World Boss Legend fatigue. A lot of people don't even play Jean Grey, so it really wouldn't make sense to add an even more difficult or more annoying World Boss Legend. However, that's not the topic of this video. The topic of the video is we're getting a new Wasp, and I'm hoping that they don't repeat what they did with Wenwu, Katie, and more recently M'Baku, where they trapped this man at tier 2. Thankfully, he has a leadership and a support passive, so he's not completely worthless. But these days, nobody using Katie and nobody really using Wenwu, even though he has a decent leadership for Alliance Conquest. But where we are right now, if you're not at least Transcended or tier 3, you can't really compete in Alliance Conquest. So I'm hoping that they don't do the same thing to Katie. I don't know what they were thinking with M'Baku. We barely get new characters, and for them to bring us in a new character and then drop him at tier 2, the weakest level of power, it just doesn't make sense. Now, besides the whole tier 2 thing, if you take a look at these Wasps, you'll see that their skill sets are very, very similar. So for her 5th skill, she's spinning around and forming a barrier, right? Then we have her 4th skill, which just has her flying around and firing off some stingers. That car is actually pretty cool. It's been a while since I've seen that. Her 3rd skill is a buff. 2nd skill is a long iframe, very, very similar to Ant-Man. And then we have her 1st skill, which is actually very similar to Ant-Man. Long iframes. Okay. Then we have Nadia. Let me just grab her right quick. Now, swapping from Janet to Nadia, I want you guys to tell me if you notice a difference in their playstyle. Like, the skills obviously look different, so that's cool. But the playstyles are very, very similar. So, I don't know how people are going to feel about this, right? But there's not really much they can do because of the fact that the characters natively, like straight out of the comics, are just very, very similar to each other. I never thought we'd actually get to a point where we have 3 different Wasps in the game, and the potential for 2 of them to be getting uniforms. That's actually kind of nuts when you think about it. So it's cool that she already has her Awaken skill, and it's separated from Janet and Cassie, because that would be kind of wild if you had an Awaken skill with all 3 Wasps together just firing off stingers. I don't know how people would feel about that. But now that I think about it, maybe this is what they're going to do. Maybe Cassie and Janet are going to be sharing an Awaken skill, similar to what we've seen them do lately, where they pair up people like Moon Girl and Riri Williams together. It's kind of an odd pairing if you ask me, but maybe that's exactly what's going to happen here. But if they do that, well, I guess I was going to say if they do that, then who gets the tier 3 at the start of the update? But more than likely, if that's the case, then that implies that we're possibly going to be getting Kang as a tier 3 native, which would make me very, very happy. And if Kang the Conqueror is supposed to be replacing Thanos in the MCU, it makes no sense for them to bring him in at any less than a tier 3 native, because we just had Gore the God Butcher, who was the main focal point of the Love and Thunder movie, and he came in as a tier 3 native. So at this point, the big baddie that's supposed to threaten the entire universe, they gotta come in as a tier 3 native, in my opinion. But anyways, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here. Leave me your thoughts in the comments. How you feeling about Triple Wasp update with a little sprinkle of Ant-Man?